All right, and in some news for all the movie goers, movie lovers, as well as movie exhibitors, the Ministry of Home Affairs has finally given a go-ahead for reopening theatres from the October 15th. Remember, that had been announced a couple of days ago, but more importantly, now the detailed standard operating procedure, or SOPs as we know it, has been released. The key features of the SOP, apart from the standard hygiene, sanitation, distancing norms, are one, 50% occupancy. The model seating arrangement suggests that there could be alternate seatings, and secondly, there could be staggered screening of cinemas, where they say that the start time interval as well as the finish time of any show in one screen should not coincide with the others to avoid crowding. Will that have an impact on the business of cinemas? The multiplex nature of multiplexes. We have Gautam Dutta, the CEO of PVR Cinemas, joining us on the line. Gautam, thanks a lot for joining in. It's been a long wait. The SOPs are now finally out. What do you make of these two particular announcements that have come by? One, that the seating has to be alternate in nature as far as the model seating arrangement has been given, and secondly, shows would be staggered.
So let me start by first saying thank you so much for having me on the show, and also this is a great news for us that finally we've got a date, and today the SOPs got released. So overall, we are in a very buoyant mood, is all I can say. Our last 4-5 months we've spent sort of polishing all our SOPs, training our staff, learning from a lot of other countries where cinemas opened way back in July. So honestly, the SOPs that have been released are largely in line with what has happened globally as well. These were kind of on expected lines. Having said that, on the seating, let's start with that. What we felt and what we had recommended was largely the fact that there should be seats left in between a group rather than a checkered seating. However, this is a simpler way of managing a 50% occupancy. Perhaps a more detailed or a sharper way would have been to leave maybe 1 or 2 seats in between group sizes, because technically if you're coming along with a group, you're traveling with a group of your family or friends, then technically at the cinema to sit in a checkered manner may be something which a lot of other countries have taken a different view on. They have left seats in between groups rather than just have a simple checkered seating. But as I said, this is being taken on the face value, and we hope that we understand the larger cause and concern around this, and we would, of course, abide and move ahead with that. Now, coming to your point on the show timings and the staggered show timing and the intermission, that isn't an issue at all. Even normally, our show timings are always staggered. We would have a minimum of about 5, 7, 10 minutes of gap. Now, we could have a little longer. We would ensure that is played out, and I don't see it having any impact at all, negative impact at all on the occupancies or on the footfalls, because it just gives a little more leeway to the consumer in terms of coming into the cinema, and at the phase 1, which is about creating an evangelism with our consumers. Because when they come in, we understand that they would be half auditors for us, and they would be coming in to review and see how all the SOPs are being adhered to.
Sure.
I personally feel this is a good step, and I feel this would add to a lot of consumers' confidence and safety, and even for our own staff, which is also a very, very important focus for us. So from all point of view, I believe this is very simply achievable and will be also very effective in being able to gain the confidence of the consumer.
Okay, so staggered show timing will actually help improve consumer confidence and may result in higher occupancies as well. Gautam, I just wanted to ask you about the ticket prices. I mean, will you have to raise ticket prices in order to compensate for the empty alternate seats?
Not at all. In fact, the way we've kind of the first 4 weeks we are treating that as a period where we need to gain back confidence and get evangelism out of our consumers. So the whole idea would be that we get more and more people. We have got a lot of corporate partnerships, which comes in with huge amount of member base. So we've got Kotak on board. We've got a few other banks. We've got our own privilege card membership of about 11 million. All these people will be invited to come in and watch these films at a discounted rate. So no question of taking the pricing up over the first 4 weeks. We are going to be discounting the pricing. However, the caveat remains that if we do get any new film, which a movie like Tenant, which has not got released in India, or Hollywood a biggie, which will get released, that would run on exactly the same rates as pre-COVID, nothing extra or nothing lower. However, some of the old content that would possibly play out in the initial 2 or 3 weeks will be played at a much discounted rate. And clearly the idea is to get more people in, to get their confidence back, and to give them a great time and get them to flavor back the same experience of PVR that they've been missing.
The fact that you will increase discounts as far as the initial bit is concerned, will you perhaps do that for the food and beverages as well? And how long before F&B confidence does come by? I mean, even if people do go out thinking everything is normal, how comfortable will they be eating at theaters, maybe popcorns, etc.?
While as a business owner, we are very, very optimistic, but the point to be taken here is look at what is happening in retail or the restaurant or the hotel business. They started off giving huge discounts, got the confidence back, but now when you visit any restaurants, all tables are full. People are coming back. People have the pent-up demand is really being fed very well. And honestly, slowly but steadily, the discounts have gone and people are back at all these places. Exactly that is going to happen at the cinema as well, and that's what we anticipate. The first 2 or 3 weeks is a time where we need to perhaps invite them, lower the cost price on ticket, on the old content, but as soon as people settle in and we start getting in new content, which typically will take about 2-3 weeks because it would need certain amount of marketing and all of that, everything will come to pre-COVID levels. We will not, of course, take it any higher. As I said, we will start playing at the same rate. But certain essentials like water and all of that, because even now the water coolers may not be seen very safe, we may lower the prices of water so that consumers absolutely feel very welcomed and comfortable at the PVR cinema.
Sure. Okay, so you're saying that at the start, at least in the first 4 weeks, you might give discounted prices on tickets. You might lower the prices on water, perhaps on F&B as well. And if I go through this SOP, in detail, there is a lot of sanitizing, disinfecting, thermal screening that is, that is given in this release. So I just want to understand the cost element here. Have you done any ballpark calculation of what would be the higher cost involved because of all of this?
It has become a new order today. Be it across hotels or restaurants or airports, this is being followed. This has been no different for us either. And we've got Dettol as a brand partner with which we have got a strategic now partnership going. So technically, we've in terms of capex, there's not been much, a very insignificant amount. There are certain savings as well because of these new protocols. Things like cushions and blankets and a lot of things which we used to possibly offer to consumers will be discontinued simply because we want the minimum of things to sort of come in touch with any kind of virus and bacteria. So all in all, yes, they will be a little bit of an expense, but not anything significant that really needs to be talked about. Eventually, overall, given our certain SOPs that would come into play and certain which possibly will need to be discontinued, this gets evened out largely.
So any idea or any calculations that you guys have done on how long it would take for the cinema business or industry to get back to pre-COVID levels? Now we know the assumptions, right? There'll be a 50% occupancy. There are higher costs involved. How long do you think it could take to get back to pre-COVID levels?
It would take at least 2 to 3 months before we start hitting on that kind of number. Please also understand that while the core business will jump back in a certain manner, we've also taken a lot of steps on controlling our costs. These last 6 months have taught us a lot, and we've actually been able to control our costs in many ways. And we are in conversation with a lot of our developer partners, film partners, F&B partners, corporate sponsorship partners, and hoping that the overall mix will be retained, and within a matter of about 3 months, we should be able to get back to the pre-COVID levels.
3 months, interesting, and you get some innovative there on, tying up with Dettol as a sanitization partner, etc. I'm sure other companies will follow suit too. Gautam, final question, cinema theatres are as good as the content that there is in those theatres. So if you could tell us, producers aren't really rushing for their films to be released in the theatres initially. And like you also said, you'll be first putting out old content. Will people really go for old content? The biggest problem is that now everyone's comfortable with OTTs. Do you think that this exclusivity will come down from 8 weeks to, say, 4 weeks or something?
So first, this is quite a loaded question, and let me start by saying, while yes, people have consumed a lot of OTT, but that is bound to happen because that just tells you that people need entertainment. So that's a good news, first and foremost. The second is they had no choice. So we were not in the race. To say that they have done well, yes, they have done exceedingly well. Their numbers have grown, all of that. But the fact is we were really not in the race. They were a solo player running the race. And from that perspective, they've done really well. People, if you ask consumers, and we've been in constant touch with our consumers, and not only us, there's been third-party research done by Kantar among some 20,000-25,000 people, consumers, and they've all said that we are sitting home grudgingly watching these movies on OTT. If you would ask us, we are dying to get out and watch a film at the cinema. So the reality is the way we also define our business. We are no longer just in the business of showing movies. We are in the business of out-of-home entertainment. And India is a hugely entertainment-starved country. We have no options of entertainment other than cinema. And while there's so much talk about movie and expense and ticket price, this is perhaps the only country in the world where the most premium cinema circuit, their ATP is about $3, 210 rupees. So where around the world do you get a 3-hour premium entertainment at just 200 rupees? So the reality is that people will come out. People are just dying to come out. There is a very huge appetite for movies. People love their movies because not just about movies, but what we've also done with the experience of movies. Today, when you go and order food, people ask, do you need it with red sauce or a white sauce? Something that we hadn't heard of it before. So cinemas are also redefining. We have Sara Todd menu on course and all of that. So the fact of the matter is there is lots happening, and the consumers is not just looking at a PVR experience as just a place to go and watch movies. It's much, much more. Now to your next question, the big movies. Yes, I said movies still, and of course, plays a very, very important role. We've got some Hollywood movies like Tenant, which have been released around the world, but not in India. I think they would be one among the straight starter at the cinema. Then we've got Sandeep or Pinky Farrar. We've got Chalang. We've got Bunty and Bubbly.
Right. All right, Gautam, thanks a lot for that. That warrants a longer discussion at another time. But we get your point that initially the SOPs that have been released are pretty much in line with what you were working with. And for moviegoers, the good news is cinema ticket prices will not be increased. In fact, at the start, will be discounted. The stock, nevertheless, lower in trade today. With that, we'll step into a short break, get you a bunch of all the other stocks that we're watching out for on the other side. Stay tuned to HTR.